big guests ready to go.
This is America's favorite outdoor talk program.
Oh, really? If these guests were fish, they would be lunkers.
Nature, children, is where it's at.
Hello there. I'm a bass, and I am petrified of Alex Langer's show.
Outdoors This Week.
Everybody can participate, no matter how old you are, what income you are, or for that matter, what sex you are.
Anchor yourself right here, because it's time for Outdoors This Week.
Good morning, meine Damen und Herren. Welcome to the fishing cabaret this morning. I'm sorry, this is Alex Langer, and the reason I'm so giddy is that we have one of the greats on the show that we've never had before by the name of James Niggemeyer. James started fishing at a very young age. He grew up in Glendale, California. Now, Glendale is right in the heart of the valley. He's a valley guy. He explored areas such as Castaic and Lake Castaic, Lake Pyramid, and Paris and Silverwood with his family. Each year, his family would also vacation for 2 weeks in the Mammoth Lakes area, which provided plenty opportunity for James to fish. He moved to Lake Fork, Texas in 2001, and 11 years after starting out at Lake Fork Tackle, James is now a Bassmaster elite angler who has completed many tournaments with much success. He's got 3 wins, 1 third place, and 16 top 10 finishes. He is one of the greats today on the Bassmaster Elite Tour. He has made 2 appearances in the Bassmaster Classic. He gives many people credit along the way. He gives Mark Pack, the owner of Lake Fork Tackle, and also Mark is a FLW angler, and pro anglers such as Kelly Jordan, Jay Yellis, and Dean Rojas, all of which we've had on this show. A positive attitude and an optimistic outlook on life allowed James to persevere even in the most challenging times. He says, there's a point in bass fishing where you simply go out and have to believe in hope. And if you can do that, you can turn just about any dream into reality. So that said, we're going to have James with us today. And then we have all of our usual suspects like Ron Lindner and the other ones. No, of course, we have Larry Whiteley from Bass Pro Shops, Sammy Lee from the Sammy Lee Show, and also the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. And we have good old Wade Bourne, who's going to tell us something about hunting. And that's it. That's all we got. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with this week's edition of Outdoors This Week. Don't go away.
We'll be back in a moment with more Outdoors This Week with Alex Langer.
"7,000 high school students drop out every school day. If you stack their desks one atop the other, it's a pile more than 17,000 feet high. That's 12 Empire State Buildings. But what's truly scary is that another stack is going up tomorrow. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
At highway speeds, the average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. That's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts. StopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, folks. Ron Lindner here for Lindner's AnglingEdge.com website. That's Lindner's AnglingEdge.com website. Home of all kinds of interesting activities. Also, you can find me, you can see us at Angling Edge Facebook every day and keep up with some of the latest trends. And one of the latest trends is there's a new record, big-headed carp. One, you say? Well, it's all in the eye of the beholder. In a lot of places, they're a nuisance, they are gigantic, and they fight hard. It seems that the Iowa DNR verified a new state record big-headed carp in June of this year, so it's finally verified. The female was captured by Larry Sparks from Lake Rathburn. And this is the first verified specimen taken from that lake. Sparks was casting a rattle bait and snagged the fish off of a handicapped accessible pier. That's a little bit of a fight. It weighed 93.5 pounds and was 56 inches long. These fish can fight. Those are, you see a lot of, the silver carp are the ones that jump out of the water. The big head are just around, but they are a problem as well. They are an invasive species. They're swimming into more and more lakes. Now, Rathburn is in Iowa. It is one of the major reservoirs and gets a lot of traffic. This surpassed the former Iowa record of 79 pounds, and that was in 2009 that they had this. It borders on a world record basis. They're unsure because there was a 106-pound big-headed carp taken from Lake of the Ozarks last year, but the facts around the fish were very sketchy, and they were not inclined to accept it as the record. This thing is verified. Actually, it shot on tapes. People took pictures of it, or video pictures of it, and being landed and weighed and everything else, so you got a full verification. The IGFA says it has not have any record, and they are the record keeper, or almost the official record keeper of this fish, and they say they don't have a record of the Ozark fish. So this thing, if it does go in and is accepted by the state of Iowa, is probably going to be the next record. Now, do you have any big carp out west where out in Massachusetts or someplace like Connecticut or New Jersey? I don't believe they're there yet, but give it time. It's going to be there. That's it from Ron. If you want to hear more about us, go look us up on LindnersAnglingEdge.com website, or go to us and see Angling Edge Facebook. Angling Edge Facebook. You keep up on our activities there. See you later, folks.
My dad came to live with us last month, and it's going pretty well.
I feel like I never have time for myself.
With him being around more, it really lets us catch up on things.
His memory isn't what it used to be.
We get up and we have coffee.
He usually wakes up at 4:30.
Then we go for a walk.
He needs lots of my attention.
I do need to keep an eye on his medications, though. That's important.
Sometimes I feel like a pharmacist.
I'd say John and the kids are adjusting pretty well.
They honestly have no idea what I'm going through.
It can be a little challenging.
Help.
But so far, so good.
I could really use just a little help.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers for advice, tips, and support. Together, let's help each other better care for ourselves and the ones we love. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, there's my son. You've been in your room all morning.
Hey, Dad.
Matt, what's wrong with your voice?
There is nothing wrong with my voice.
Oh, well, it's just sort of.
I have been playing my video games and electronic games for so many hours.
Uh-huh. Well, it sounds like it might be time for you to take a break, or...
Hello, Dad.
Susan?
I have been watching TV and text messaging all morning. Yay, electronics. Yay, yay, yay.
Guys, I think it's about time to get in the car and take a little trip. Maybe see some trees, some green things.
What are these green things you speak of?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear sighting, as in Smokey Bear.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste. He told me to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
I know that now.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
October Bass coming up on Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Would you like to spend less time on the couch and more time in the fresh air? Would you like your kids to stare at a bobber instead of the TV? Would you gladly trade in your microwave for a Dutch oven? Then you belong at Bass Pro Shops. Every week, we offer free skills workshops to help you get started. See the store or go to BassPro.com for more information. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
It's a good idea to begin an October fishing day with lures like spinnerbaits and jerkbaits, as they do a good job of locating active bass and allow you to cover water. But some days, the bass simply won't chase and hit a moving lure. This is especially true when cooler water temperatures can cause bass to be less active. If the bass aren't hitting quick-moving baits, tie on a 2-jig and make short, precise casts to specific areas that hold bass. Clumps of green vegetation are good, as is shallow cover like stumps and boat docks. Now, many anglers have it in their heads that topwater baits are only good when the water's warm. While they can be super then, so too do they catch bass in October. Some of the best topwater baits during the fall are those that imitate a wounded fish thrashing around on the surface of the water. The best way to fish buzzbaits in October is to retrieve them only fast enough to keep them on the surface. For more tips, go to BassPro.com and click on the Outdoor Site Library. I'm Larry Whiteley, and this is Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Why, thank you, Larry, for that tremendous report. And we have a tremendous bass angler with us today. In fact, I think he's one of the modern greats. Lynn?
I do too.
Why haven't we had James on before?
He's so busy being great.
That's great. That's true.
Yeah, I had to make sure he had enough time.
Without any further ado, James Niggemeyer started fishing at a very young age. He grew up in Glendale, California, and if you've ever been to Glendale, you know it's surrounded by such great lakes as Castaic, Pyramid, Paris, and Silverwood, and he explored those with his family. Each year, his family would also vacation for a couple of weeks in the Mammoth Lakes area, which always provided plenty of opportunities for James to fish. Now, why would he move out of Southern California? I'm not sure. Why would he move out of Southern California? He moved to Lake Fork, Texas, which is, if you know anything about Lake Fork, you know it's also a tremendous fishery. And he gives credit to many of those who helped him along the way, including the owner of Lake Fork Tackle and FLW angler Mike Pack, as well as pro anglers Lance Vick, Kelly Jordan, Jay Ellis, and Dean Rojas. And I think we've had everybody but James on this show. A positive attitude and an optimistic outlook allowed James to persevere even though in the most challenging times. James, let me start off with a question. Mark Pack from Lake Fork Tackle seems to influence a lot of people.
He really does. You know, I guess before I came along, he, kind of took Kelly Jordan under his wing and then Dean Rojas as well, and just really built a friendship with them and kind of really, I don't know if he necessarily, showed them how to fish, but was sharing insight and innovation and different things like that with them. And he did a lot of the same things for me too. And once I moved here from California, I didn't have an established guide service. And so I actually went and he worked for him and his wife. And he's wonderful people, and they enabled me to stay here and not have to run back to California with my tail between my legs.
That's terrific. He runs a guide service on Lake Fork?
He does. Yep. Yeah, he's arguably one of the top guides on the lake, and then also one of the most booked.
Right. Where did Dean Rojas go wrong? He went over to the Frog. What's the matter with Dean?
Well, I don't know. I like the Frog, so I'm not sure. I think he went wrong at all. Striking's got that KVD sexy frog, and that thing. I mean, I see how he likes his frog. I know I like mine, so. I don't know if he went wrong.
So you're part of the Frog contingent. Where did you trip up, James?
I like to do it all, and that sometimes can be difficult. There's only so many anglers on tour that can do it all and do it all well.
Right.
But we all can fish from super shallow to super deep and heavy line to light line. So it's kind of
the difference between bass fishing now and bass fishing 30 years ago. 30 years ago, you didn't have to be wonderful at everything. Now you absolutely do.
Well, there's it used to be if you wanted to win, you had to be a specialist. That's what I remember reading, and that's kind of where I really focused on becoming a specialist. And now everybody's versatile.
What's winging? You said if you wanted to wing, what's that?
To win tournaments, if you wanted to win events. I thought, if you wanted to, and that's always been my goal was to be a professional angler and fish the tournament trail. So that's kind of how everything I shaped it around was just, that with that goal in mind was to become a full-time professional angler on the tournament trail, on the BASS tournament trail, actually.
We've had Jay Ellis on here many, many times. In fact, he's a regular here, if I can be so bold. And, his faith really guides him. Was your faith a huge factor in helping you move your career along?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Jay Ellison and his wife Jill were instrumental in really building my faith and being a part of it. And so yes, it's my Christian faith is where it's the center of everything, and everything comes out of it. I mean, I put my faith and trust in Jesus Christ, and if I can just keep him the center of everything stays in balance, and I can I can operate the way I was designed to.
Now, Jay moved back to the West Coast. Are you still talked off at him for that?
I've lost touch with Jay since he's moved back to the West Coast, and every now and again we'll actually talk to each other via other friends that will run through our circles. But no, I don't fault him at all. The West Coast is beautiful. I love it there. I really do.
Let's hold it right there, because we got to go to a break, and when we come back, we'll have more gossip about Jay Ellis. Stay tuned.
I'm the big boss.
More of America's favorite outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after these messages.
All right, I've gone through all the tracks. Just move through the beats. Do your thing.
All right, everyone, let's hear it for West High's own Brooke Turner, a.k.a. DJ Hook.
Scratching at my first school dance takes confidence. So getting into college, I've got what it takes. So do you.
Visit knowhowtogo.org to learn what you should be doing right now to prepare for college. Start taking the steps at knowhowtogo.org. Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Do you confuse state capitals and read too many celebrity gossip magazines? Well, if you answered yes, you may have what it takes to adopt a teen from foster care, because teens don't need perfection, they need you. For more information, call 1-888-200-4005 or go to adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
That's a good one since 1984. Tight Lines with Sammy Lee.
He is, without a doubt, the greatest bass angler of all time, and today he discusses how the best lure to catch bass with may not be the one you locate them with. Hello, this is Sammy Lee. In just a moment, I'll continue talking with four-time Bassmaster Classic winner Rick Clunn. But first, this message.
Your attention, please.
Coming soon. Coming soon. Colors that will change. Colors that will change your fishing forever. The most revolutionary lures ever made. Only from Bleeding Belly's Lure Company. Coming soon.
Over the past couple of programs, four-time Bassmaster Classic winner and a gentleman that has taken home over $4 million during his professional bass tournament career, Rick Clunn, has been sharing his thoughts on the different things that a fishing lure has to do. And obviously, the first thing that comes to most anglers' minds is that it has to catch fish. Well, that's true, but it isn't always that the lure that you've located fish with is the best lure to be catching the most numbers of fish with, according to Rick.
A lot of times I find fish even though I don't catch fish because of the changing conditions. I'll go through an area and there's stumps, underwater stumps that you can see down there, and you work and you don't catch anything, and then you leave the area. Well, 2 days later, Randy says over here, man, I killed them on stumps today. Well, you immediately say, where did I see those stumps? And you go back and boom, you catch them again. So not only are you trying to find fish, you're learning water. And the only way the more water you can learn in a given day or 2 or 3 days, the better off you are, because that gives you more things, more ways to adjust when the patterns do change from stumps to rocks to grass to to whatever, because you know where that type of water is and you can back it up.
And that's just one reason Rick Clunn's a 4-time Bassmaster Classic champion and considered the greatest bass angler of all time. I'm Sammy Lee, and until next time, tight lines.
Tight Lines, brought to you by SpectraBurst, the ultimate color-changing technology. HuntMate, the best hunting app for your iPhone. By UFP, America's leading maker of brake systems for boat trailers. And by Bleeding Belly's Lures, the bait that actually changes color.
If you like Facebook, you'll love the Sammy Lee page on Facebook. Check out me, Sammy Lee, even more lovable than ever on Facebook.com.
And there he goes. That's the lovable Sammy Lee. And I think he'll be inducting my next guest here, James Niggemeyer, into the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame before too long. I make that prediction. Lynn?
I'll back you up on that one.
Okay, great. See, James, you have both Lynn's and my support for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame.
Wow, I sure appreciate that. That's you two are the first two that's ever suggested me for that, so that's kind of neat.
I think I'll nominate you. James, one of the things I really respect about you is that you, from all accounts, you have a tremendous work ethic. You spend time catching up on the needs of your sponsors, studying lake maps, things like that in the so-called off season. Who else does that, and does anybody else does that?
I find that actually a lot of them do. Takahiro lives at probably about Takahiro Omori, and he lives about 30 minutes from me. And before I ever qualified for the Elite Series and started fishing the Pro Tour, he and I, struck up a friendship, and I've known him for quite some time, and he's got an incredible work ethic, and he's always working on perfecting things and from all angles, working on his rods and reels, and just maximizing his effectiveness on the water and off the water, working with his sponsors and doing the things that they need him to do, and so it's made him the classic champion he is today. So he's really kind of modeled that in a lot of ways, and shown me that he just works tirelessly on that type of thing, and Jay Yellis as well, and a lot of the anglers I know during the off season, they're preparing all their equipment for next year.
Right.
Maybe streamlining some things down, and then looking at the lakes that they're going to fish, and making application to the patterns that they might be faced with when they get to those lakes come the new year. So I think I'm not alone in it. I think to be able to be a force out there and be competitive every day, you definitely can't just sit around and relax during the off season. I think my wife always laughs when I say off season. She says, "When's that begin?" So
you said something about Takahiro that rang a bell. He's got an Asian work ethic. In the same way that Asians do well in many other things, including school. I think Tak has that ethic.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. In a lot of ways, I think I've referred to him as being a machine. It's almost like he just denies his what he would probably rather be doing,
right,
in place of what he thinks he needs to do, like doing the things you have to do so that you can do the things you want to do. He's just got his priorities straight,
yep.
And I believe a lot of that has he's gathered that from his Japanese upbringing. I think in a lot of ways that's had a huge influence in who he is and how he handles himself both on and off the water.
I agree. He's Japanese through and through.
Yes, absolutely. And I've enjoyed sushi with him on numerous occasions. And
really, you like sushi? I love sushi. Where do you get sushi in Texas?
I don't know too many places you get it here in Texas, but as we've traveled around, out in California, I used to get it a bunch, and on the road, we found places on the road where some good sushi places. So we've enjoyed it out west, and we're at the Delta and different things like that. So, and then once I believe in Augusta, Georgia, we found this great place, and so we've really set. And then also with Ben Mitsubu when he used to fish the Elite Series as well. So we love eating some sushi.
What happened to Ben Mitsubu?
Ben's over there. He's still at Toledo Bend fishing tournaments. I believe he's doing some guiding, and so and different things like that. But he's talked about, from what I understand, coming back onto the Pro Tour, but I don't think he's necessarily, focused and put his efforts into that just yet. But I know he misses it, but he hasn't made strides to fish the Opens to requalify yet. So we'll see what happens.
I don't think anybody really quits the Pro Tour. It's more like it quits you. So I mean, if he's got a mind to do it, I'm sure he will.
Yes, absolutely.
James, not to change the subject, but you're a big advocate of new fishing technology, including the Supercast. What makes the Supercast equipment special?
That Tough Lines introduced the Supercast at the ICAST show there in Orlando, and I really haven't had a whole lot of experience with it, but I got to fish with it about a month ago. And the thing that makes it so unique is that it's a braid that acts like a mono.
Yeah.
And, I think everybody thinks braid. They think, heavy fishing equipment, flipping sticks, frog fishing, things like that. This Supercast is actually designed to be used for spinning tackle, light line, finesse fishing style applications, and it works really well.
Is it one of those fused lines?
I don't want to say it's a fused. It's the application. It's kind of a proprietary way that they've used to make this line, but there's definitely a joining of different properties of lines in it, and I wouldn't want to misquote exactly the way they put it together, but it has those properties of both, which makes it really unique on the market, and it's just that technology that the fishing industry every year keeps putting out there, and I think Tough Lines definitely brought a product onto the market that we'll see in the future is going to have a lot of applications, and I think guys are going to really like it once they spool it up on the reels for sure.
Speaking of technology, there's a whole new stuff going on with so-called sonars. They're almost not sonars anymore. Compared to what they used to be, they're like another world. And when we come back, we're going to talk to James Niggemeyer about that. But first, we have outdoor legend, good old Wade Bourne. He's going to be here with a hunting report, and we'll be back right after this. Don't go away.
I'm hooked on hooking up, and there ain't no cure. The only remedy is at the end of my lure. The bigger the better. Break out the headline. I'm hooked on hooking up, and I feel fine. Pacific Blue Ocean, Gulf of Mexico.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
They may look a little off-kilter, but they're that way for a reason. I'm talking about the new Northern Flight one-strap waders from Cabela's. All other duck hunting waders I know about have two straps, but these have half that many. I'm Wade Bourne, and this is Wired to Hunt Radio. Today, an example of how innovation is alive and well in the hunting boot business.
More Wired to Hunt Radio coming up.
With the mission to promote, protect, and preserve hunting in the shooting sports, the National Shooting Sports Foundation wants to help you better enjoy your sports. Take a lesson from champion pistol shooter Doug Koenig. Fine-tune your shotgun skills with top instructor Gil Ash, or learn how to sight in your rifle in just 2 shots. You'll find all the information you need to shoot better at nssf.org/videos. Watch and learn with NSSF at nssf.org/videos. For a day at the range, it's hard to beat an accurate pistol and lots of .22 long rifle ammunition. Folks at Smith & Wesson couldn't agree more, and the new M&P 22 pistol fits the bill perfectly. The M&P 22 combines the look, feel, and familiar operating features of the trusted M&P series of centerfire pistols. The M&P 22 is perfect for training or simple shooting enjoyment. To learn more about this new M&P rimfire pistol, visit www.smith-wesson.com.
This is Wired to Hunt Radio.
Form follows function is an old adage in architecture, and I guess in a way this applies to designing anything. This is certainly true in concepting hunting gear. And Cabela's new Northern Flight one-strap waders are a case in point. Now, most waders have two straps, one for each shoulder, but as their name implies, the new one-strap waders have, well, just one. Pretty radical. Here's Cabela's boot designer Shane Hare explaining the rationale behind this new design in waders.
Everybody has issue, or I had an issue, and a lot of other waterfowlers, with shouldering your gun and the strap always gets in your way. So what we did is we came up with a concept that we removed that strap off your shooting shoulder to free up. So kind of our tagline, no more excuses.
When Shane showed me a pair of these boots, I questioned whether or not they'd pull more than normal on the side with the only strap.
You know, we went through a lot of revisions and a lot of different concepts with it. And what we found is once we kind of came to what we ended up with today, we're not seeing a lot of shoulder pull. They stay up nice. They hunt in the field very well. Still allows a lot of flexibility, a lot of movement. You still get a coat underneath them. Everything's been very positive.
Again, this is Shane Hare talking about Cabela's new Northern Flight one-strap waders. Check them out on the Cabela's website. And that's today's Wired to Hunt Radio. I'm Wade Bourne saying thanks for listening. Get outside.
Thanks, Wade, for another terrific report. And we have James Niggemeyer with us. And James left the valley in Glendale, California, where he had access to such legendary lakes as Castaic and Pyramid and Paris and Silverwood. And he gave it all up and he moved to Lake Fork, Texas. Also not a bad choice. James, first of all, welcome back. And
thank you.
Let's talk electronics. You know, back when I was in the computer industry, we talked about something called convergence, and that was where all devices meld into one basic unit. Convergence has almost happened to a T in the sonar world. You know, you used to have GPS and you had sonar and you had other things, and now it's all one thing. It's like it's almost not a sonar anymore. It's more like an onboard computer, isn't it?
I would agree. You know, it can tell you so much anymore now about when you're out fishing, gathering data is so important to making good choices on the water. And I think when you're out there on the water, and your electronics can help you make good choices based on facts that you find and the data that it acquires for you while you're on the water. It just makes you so much more efficient. You can make crisp decisions because you know what it's telling you is true, and like you said, you're understanding the water temperature, you're understanding where you are in relation to the structure on the lake and what's down there, and you can see more clearly the types of fish that you're over, and the size, and the type of structure you're on, the cover that's available, just so many different things. That you have with the side imaging technology that's there. I mean, to me, that side imaging's just blown everything away. And over the last couple of years, that's just such an incredible thing. As well as the navionics chips that are available, the mapping, the overlays that go, and so you can see your contour lines and understand what's available as you're just driving down the lake, and you can build your patterns so much faster because now, instead of wondering what's around the next cove, you just look at your navionics chip, and you can see if you're looking for creek channels or if you're looking for humps or ledges or different things like that with a certain transition. You can just go right to it with your navionics on today's electronics. It's incredible. It's really made us more efficient. whether you fish tournaments or you're fun fishing just for a few hours one afternoon, time is against you, and so to speak, and you have to be as effective as you can be in that amount of time that you have to go out and go fishing, and so it just helps you be more efficient that way.
I don't know if you realize it, but you just dropped a gem of a statement, and that is we're out there gathering data so we can make good decisions. You're right. That encapsulates bass fishing to a T. That's what you're doing. You're out getting data.
That's exactly right. And I can't take credit for that. That's something that I've learned from Rick Klein, just reading his stuff over the years. He's always talked about eliminating water and establishing water. Eliminating water, what you're doing is you're saying, well, this is not something I want to spend any time on, and then you're establishing water. This is something that's a productive area, and then once you're in there, you're looking at watercolor, you're looking at the water conditions, is there grass, is there wood, and all that's just, and then you have the best computer that there is, right, sitting on your shoulders, your head.
You're right.
And your brain is continually working for you to try to figure out what's going on, and that's the beauty of our sport, I think. For me, fishing's never the same every day, and it's always challenging, and you're always thinking, and I'm telling you, when I get off the water at the end of the day, there's nothing that I've ever done that's made me feel more tired, both mentally and physically, than fishing does. I mean, it really, at the end of the day, I am spent.
Bill Dance once said to me about 30 years ago, actually it was like 31 years ago, he said, fishing is a thinking man's sport. And a lot of people would laugh at that. They would say, how can it be a thinking man's sport? But it really is.
You're absolutely right. You're going to have to make choices. You're going to have to make decisions. And it's not, a lot of people say, well, so much of it is just luck. Well, if we were just spread the map out on the table and we, say, spun a Coke bottle and wherever it landed, well, that's where we were going to go fishing, well, then I would say, okay, yeah, there's some luck involved. But when you spread that map out and you say, based on the seasonal patterns and the fish location and the fish movements, I feel like for this time of year, this is the area that I should spend time in. And now you're making a choice to establish an area and think about what you're doing as opposed to just driving out randomly. And so, yes, it's a thinking man's sport. There's no doubt about it.
That's a great way to end the show because we're out of time, James. James Niggemeyer is the name. And where can people follow you?
Well, I have a blog at advancedangler.com, and also I'm on Facebook at James Niggemeyer, Angler. And, I'm frequently on the striking website and different places like that. So, just look for me at those places, and you'll find all kinds of information. I've got a guide service on Lake Fork. If anybody is looking to try to go out and catch a trophy bass, I'd be happy to take them.
That's great, James. And if there's anything, it's trophy bass because you grew up in the home of trophy bass. Thanks, James, for being on with us on Outdoors this week. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's another show in the can, as we say, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, what's up? Holla at ya, boy. XOXOXO. You getting these texts? Question mark. Where are you? What are you doing? OMG, you are making me mad. You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot.